Whew, okay, we're back in AJ's account, working on it step by step, trying to improve things. We've taken down every single dungeon and clan boss, except for Fire Knight. That's up now. Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. We have the last dungeon in this step-by-step series to complete, Fire Knight. And I'm very excited about this, definitely interested in seeing how this one goes because Fire Knight's really hard. It's a very tough one if you don't have great champions or gear because boy, that shield that the Fire Knight places is a doozy. And of course, then you still want to try and reduce his turn meter and keep it down. There's multiple approaches to it, but it's just not simple, right? There's one very clear-cut, efficient, fast, consistent way to do it, and it involves some pretty specific champions. Thankfully, I think on this account, we have them, so it shouldn't be an issue for us to build a solid team. Obviously, if you don't, though, it's going to be a challenge. And I do talk a little bit about some other approaches, but honestly, until you get the champions that you need for this one, it's going to be a challenge to do. Because the biggest thing is turn meter reduction on this boss. He's the only one of these dungeon bosses where that works effectively for us. And so, yeah, that's kind of the negative with this boss. But we're going to get in there. I'll show you guys where he started. I'm going to take you guys to the end so you can see where we end up. And it should be a nice little fun ride. And of course, if you guys are enjoying this series, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, because we are not done with his account. We've done the dungeons after today. We've done clan boss, of course, and next is going to be arena. So you're going to want to stick around for that and see what monstrosity we end up putting together, because I don't even know right now. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so as we can see, currently we have beaten stage 15. We're looking at 16. My goal is to try to take him to 20. That might be a challenge. I might not be able to do it, in all honesty, because Fire Knight is as difficult as stated. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm pretty hopeful that we should be able to get him to 20. Hopeful about it. Now, one of the things I did before would I show the gear that our champions are at currently for these teams, but honestly, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do that right now. I've been working on the account already. I've already changed a lot of the champions that are going to be involved on this team. So, you know, how he had it set up isn't going to work for us. But we have some pretty clear mandates as far as what we want to do in building this team. So if we look at Firo, I really didn't realize all these bosses have individual names. I think it's pretty cool. So Firo, the Fire Knight boss, right? The Fire Knight. He has some, you know, pretty general skills here, right? He's got that Searing Storm, AoE attack, reduces max HP, Dazzling Flames, AoE attack, puts a decreased speed debuff out, and then of course his big thing is the passive, that Cloak of Fire. And this one's really tough because he has this Divine Shield on himself, and it really reduces the damage taken, like basically makes it non-existent when that shield is up. And it won't allow any debuffs to be landed or anything like that. The key to get the shield off is you have to deal a certain amount of hits. So champions with multi-hit attacks are really, really good for this boss, and generally what we try to go for. On top of that, he is one of the few champions we can actually reduce his turn meter on. So once we do get that knockdown, the next step is really trying to keep his turn meter down to 0. And that way we can just continually attack him. And it's all about us. The boss never takes a turn, and we can totally take him out. Of course, there's only a few champions that can do that effectively, right? Coldheart has a max turn meter reduction. We've got, you know, Rogard has a little bit of a turn meter reduction as well. And then you've got champions like Blind Seer or Visix that have a little bit on their A1s. Even like a Rosin has a turn meter reduction with his A3 skill. And so hopefully we can cobble enough of that together and make it worth it. Now, obviously, an Allure is the game changer because she has a triplet attack with each hit reducing the turn meter by 25%, which is amazing, amazing skill. She is weak affinity here. So that's definitely something. On stage 20, she's weak affinity. So it's not the best, but she's still game breaking because she can keep that turn meter down all by herself. Now, obviously, Lysandra is another wonderful option. One, because you can get her going super fast and she has turn meter reduction. Using her in conjunction with stuff can be a game-changing approach as well. So we've got a couple of approaches here, and this account did just pull a Lysandra. So I have to kind of judge, am I going to rank up and, you know, book up a Lysandra, because that means I can't do that with another legendary champion on this account, or do I, you know, rank up an Allure? She's only level 50 right now. it's going to be a little bit dicey because we need to be able to stay alive and get to the boss and still do all that stuff we were talking about. So I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to try and see what I can't do here. It's going to be a bit of a climb. All right, we've successfully climbed all the way from stage 15 to stage 20, which is where we're at right now. I haven't even run this team yet, but we're going to try and give it a shot. This is a squad I've been using, and I think this is extremely successful and should be successful, and it'll work really nice. Now, a couple things that I'm using here, right? Obviously, Allure is crucial for keeping the turn meter of the enemy down, especially the boss. Once we break that shield, Allure is the golden child of this entire comp here, right? We're bringing in Stagnite. I've been using Draco up to this point, but because it's red affinity, it is hard to bring in blue affinity champions outside of Allure. So I'm going to be using Stagnite to get us that decreased defense, also that decreased attack, so hopefully the waves don't kill us so quickly, and a decreased speed debuff as well to help make sure that the boss never gets a turn. Another interesting thing we're bringing in is Cardiel. Now, obviously, Cardiel's an OP champion. Not everybody has him. But one thing that you can find, especially in a lot of those super fast teams, is you'll find Akreela in there. And the reason why is the same reason why I have Cardiel in here, that ally attack ability. It helps break down the shield faster, obviously, but also can do a lot of damage for your team. And so it becomes a really good addition to a squad like this. So if you have a Cardiel, fantastic, but even if you don't, you might want to take a look at someone like Akreela, a Longbeard, even a corpulent, what's his name, Catacomb Counselor, I think it is. But that idea of ally attack, Farrakhan the Fat would be a good example, can be really effective on the boss, right? It gives you more attacks, more hits, to help knock that shield down, and then once it's down, if you have a turn meter reducer with their A1 skill, like an Allure, it gives them another attempt to reduce that turn meter and help keep it down so that boss never gets a turn. The hard part with this is at this level, the waves are actually hitting us pretty hard, so we will lose one or two champions, especially Allure, she's weak affinity, along the way. But we have Blind Seer to help keep everybody alive. We have Cardiel for that as well. And hopefully we'll be able to survive the waves and get to the boss. Because once we get there, I don't have any fear that we will be able to take him down pretty easily. So let's go ahead and jump in. I haven't done this run yet. I honestly don't know if we're going to win. We might fail, and then I'll have to make some adjustments and come back again. But let's see how it goes. Because you can see, we've got that shield from Blind Seer. Decreased attack will help us survive these waves actually from Stagnite. We are getting that ally attack here from Cardiel and extra buffs for more damage, and we're going through it. Now obviously it's not fast. These guys are, yeah, we don't have a lot of damage dealing in this comp. This is one of the issues with taking Draco out of it, is the raw damage isn't really there, but Cardiel does a lot of work with all of his attacks and that ally attack. And so if we can survive this, if we can kill these enemies, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. And having Blind Seer on the squad makes it a lot easier. So we'll see how it goes. And once we get down to a few enemies, Allure does a great job of keeping their turn meter down. So even these few enemies won't take any turns in all likelihood, because Allure's just going to keep reducing their turn meter like that and give us a really good opportunity to kill them all. So hopefully this works out for us. We'll see. We'll come back once we get to the boss himself, because this could take a while. Okay, 2 minutes in, we're at the boss now. All we have to do is knock the shield down, and then it's just a matter of time. It doesn't have to be a fast run. Fire Knight, again, is very difficult, like Ice Golem, to get a speedy run in. But once we do get it, we just need it to be consistent. So far, I've seen nothing to dissuade me from the notion that this is a 100% successful team, right? If we can keep the turn meter of the boss down, which we're going to be able to do here, Allure is amazing at that, then we're going to be totally fine. And this will be a 100% run. It's just not going to be a fast run. And one of the big issues, obviously we don't have decreased defense up yet. It's just going to be the damage. And it's mostly coming from Coldheart. And our Coldheart is not super fast. I think she's right around 170 speed. So the next step for this would be, A, bring in a second Coldheart, and B, be a little bit faster. If we had a second Coldheart, we could easily replace Cardiel with her, and that would probably speed up our run considerably, at least when we get to the boss. We might have a little bit of trouble surviving the waves, and that's something we'd have to evaluate, right? Because Cardiel was doing a lot of work there, but that's definitely the approach I would be wanting to take with this. But you can see, get that big hit, that max HP hit is really nice when we can get it in there, and we just need one or two more, and we should be in pretty good shape here. There we go. 3 minutes, almost 40 seconds. It's not a fast run by any means. It's sub 4 minutes. It's definitely something we can set on auto, and we know it's going to work every time. And as we improve the gear on all these champions, it's only going to get better. I mean, Coldheart is, I think, a good build, but by no means is she an amazing build on this team. So there's definitely room for improvement there. But overall, I think this was pretty successful. I mean, we bumped all the way from 15 to 20 with the full auto team. And yeah, there's not much more you can ask for. So I haven't changed the gear on any of these champions that I've, shown before, so I'm not going to show them all. If you are interested in seeing how they're kitted out, like my Coldheart, my Blind Seer, or Cardiel, you can go back to one of my earlier videos and check that out, and you should be able to see it right there. As far as Stag Knight goes, who I think I haven't used that much, I do have him in a shield set. He's going about 190 speed, 188 speed, 255 crit or accuracy. He's been pretty solid build for me. That's about the speed that we're really aiming for. Always can be faster, but that's pretty much where we're aiming for with him. As far as masteries go, we're going down the support tree. We do want to take Sniper with Stag Knight, so he has a 100% chance to land his debuffs. And then offensive tree all the way down here to War Master. This is maybe not exactly how I would do the offensive tree, but it's not going to make a big difference anyway, and I think that's just fine. The other champion, of course, we have to check out is Allure, only level 50. Look at that chest piece, only rolled to 8, right? We're not worried, we're taking damage, but it's not a big deal because we have Blind Seer in the comp. Now, this is an attack chest piece. That'll help her do more damage, but quite frankly, that's not going to be her main role here. She's just not built anywhere near strong enough to do that. One thing that we can do, though, is level her to 60, 6-star her, and take that 6-star mastery. That's definitely something we're missing. As far as her total stats go, because I forgot about that, 202 speed, 100% crit rate, gotta have that in order to get that turn meter reduction, which is why she's not great against weak affinity, but whatever. Hardly any defensive stats whatsoever, but we do have 200 accuracy. Getting that accuracy banner, again, 6-star please, 6-star please, will help a lot with that and make sure that we guarantee there's no resistance or anything, and we can land that turn meter decrease every single time, and it'll scale up for the higher difficulties as well. So these are the masteries that I used her with. We went down support tree and we went down the offensive tree. Now the support tree I really just went down to get more accuracy. That's really all I care about. Evil Eye is really, really helpful. That is something I recommend taking for. Also, Lore Steel is nice to help, make the gear sets that we have on her more effective. Offensive tree, I don't even know if this is a great build, to be honest, but I did come down to Whirlwind of Death, try to get a little bit more speed in this build, and then I have it set up so that we can take Giant Slayer when we get her to 6-star. This will make the boss run a lot faster. Getting those Giant Slayer hits every time is definitely a way to speed the run up. The big thing with Allure that you just have to remember is you want her fast with a lot of accuracy. Fast and accurate. Fast and accurate. That's all we care about. Those are really the only two things we need. We want her to take her turn as often as possible so we can continue to reduce the turn meter, and we need the accuracy so we can continue to reduce the turn meter. So that was our approach with everything, right? We're just trying to build that team as fast as we can. And the big thing is just getting to the boss. So it's not a fast run, right? It took us 2 minutes to get through the waves. So you can easily see there are approaches to get through the waves a little bit faster. Using that same approach with like a Seer, being able to nuke those waves can be a really effective strategy. But with this team, I don't know that we really have the champions to make that happen with everything else. It's certainly an approach we could try to take, but one of the things that we have to do is make sure we keep that turn meter down, and that means fitting Allure into this team. Because of that, we're a little bit stuck. We don't have a Lydia on this account, obviously, and that is a champion that can really unlock the power of Seer in Fire Knight because she'll also bring decreased defense and weaken. We're using Cardiel right now with Blind Seer. Neither of them are going to bring those debuffs for us. So unless we can bring someone that brings enough buffs to activate Seer's nuke ability, as well as bringing those debuffs so that it will actually hurt the enemy, it becomes really difficult to utilize that strategy in Fire Knight. So that's why it's a little bit more advanced. Until you kind of get to that stage, you're a little bit stuck dealing with a lot of these more basic approaches to the game. Now, I know there are a million different ways to go about taking down Fire Knight, and if you guys have some suggestions or some teams that you've used around this level of progression, I'd love to hear that down below, honestly. I think it's always interesting to hear different ways that people approach this stuff. If there are champions or, attack styles that I missed, let me know. I'd definitely love to hear that. But yeah, I thought this was pretty effective, and it definitely works for us. When you consider where we started and where we ended up, I mean, the difference is night and day. Stage 15 to an auto full run, stage 20 is definitely good. The next step is building up the gear and dropping that time down. But I thought this was pretty helpful, pretty successful anyway. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys. And if you liked it, let me know by hitting that subscribe, that notification bell. And guys, till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.